May I come in, sir?
Yes, come.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Have a seat, Kanika.
Thank you, sir.
Kanika is from Kathal, Haryana.
Yes, sir.
And Kanika has done BA in Political Science and optional is Political Science. And journal writing, practicing pranayam.
Yes.
Okay. So, Kanika, first of all, I wanted to ask you that supposing you are asked a question regarding the status of Chandigarh.
Yes, sir.
There are three options to you. One, Chandigarh should come to Haryana, Chandigarh should go to Punjab, or Chandigarh should remain a union territory with Haryana and Punjab as its tenants. And fourth, Chandigarh evicts Haryana and Punjab and they be asked to make their own capitals. What is that option which you would recommend?
So I'd like to go with the third option, where Chandigarh remains as a union territory and with the control with the Punjab and Haryana government both.
Control, or you would, the third option was that the Punjab and Haryana continue to have their capitals there, but the control would be that of UT as it is now.
Then I'd like to go with the fourth option, sir, where the capital, so Punjab and Haryana, the UT is there, both talents are also there of Punjab and Haryana, but both of them go for a different capital because different capital will allow them to have greater accessibility, allow them to bridge the regional divide that had been there, and also allow them to remove the political ruckus that has been created because of Chandigarh continuing as a common territory, sir.
Okay, good. There will be some pros and cons. Yes. So be ready to answer those pros and cons also. The cons here would be that it would take a long time to construct new capital and it would require huge funds to create new capital. But yes, ideal solution that would be, but next best would be that status quo is continued. Okay, right. So Kathal was carved out of Kurukshetra district.
Yes, sir.
Now Kurukshetra is known. It is said that if one goes to Kurukshetra, he goes straight away to heaven.
Yes.
So what are the important tourist places and religious places for which Kurukshetra attracts so many tourists from all over?
The important tourist places and the place of Gita sermon, where the sermon of Gita was delivered, is the Jyotisar Sarovar, Sanhit Sarovar, Pehwa, where it's said that it's equivalent to Haridwar. If somebody is doing a Pindadan there, then it's equivalent to somebody doing it in Haridwar. Then it's Thanesar, which was a center of Pushyabhuti dynasty. And Bhadrakali temple is also famous in Kurukshetra, sir. This is what I can say.
Okay. So, when we talk about Haryana, then many things come to our mind for right reasons and wrong reasons. So, if you have to sell Haryana to a foreign investor, what are the things that you are going to project to him?
So, my projection to a foreign investor would be, number one is its connectivity to Delhi and closeness to the capital. Second, the infrastructural development that has taken at a rapid pace in Haryana. Thirdly, the peace and stability in the region. It's a plain region where industrial development would be important. And thirdly, the higher per capita income and also a youth and demographic dividend available in the state, where they can also contribute along with the industries and can function together.
For a very long time in Haryana, the ladies, girls, IAS officers were not given districts. And they were not even given the postings which are normally given to the male counterparts, the core areas like finance and home and town country planning and industries. What's your opinion on this? Why it happens in Haryana, not happens in many other states? And what can be done about it?
The reasons for it happening in Haryana can be the patriarchal setup that had been there in the region. And secondly, because politics has been embedded in the community mindset, it's on the political executive to appoint the bureaucrats. And that may be the reason that they are preferring the male counterparts. But sir, I think now we have come a lot forward.
Yeah.
We have had 3 female chief secretaries, Srimati Urvashi and Gulati ji, and Srimati Meenakshi Chaudhary, and recently Srimati Keshni Anand Arora ji. And now the women officers are also holding important posts. Srimati Sumita Mishra, she is a secretary to Agricultural Department. Srimati G. Anupama, she is a secretary to Department of Health. Haryana has come a
Things
lot.
are changing.
Yes.
My last question to you would be, supposing you are made the brand ambassador of girls' education, can you give 1 or 2 lines, which you would like to tell the girls in order to motivate them? Madhuri Dixit was brought as the ambassador for girls by the Chief Minister. So if you are the brand ambassador, what exactly 1 or 2 lines you would like to say for girls' education?
The girls of Haryana have confidence and they can win. Education is...
Hindi mein bataiye. Because when you will be talking to the girls, you have to speak in Hindi then.
To get them into girl education and to promote them to get into education, sir, 1 line would be Savidya Mukte, which I take from my college, that knowledge is only that liberates you. And it's high time that we should be empowered and liberated. And thus, knowledge getting into education will help you move forward. Second, हरियाणा की बेटी रुकेगी नहीं, बढ़ेगी, और बढ़ने के लिए शिक्षा सर्वोपरि रहेगी. These will be my
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Kanika, quickly tell me the questions which I asked last time so that I can ask you new set of questions.
So the questions were related to the political thinker Machiavelli.
Machiavelli, okay.
Yes, sir. Second was related to the Indian Ocean region and its growing relevance.
Okay. Did I ask that? No.
Yes.
No, I didn't. No problem.
And
Anyway, no problem. Tell me the areas of your interest. Last time you mentioned thinkers, did you?
Yes, sir.
So, some questions on IR.
Yes. Sir.
Okay. So, you must have studied about the security dilemma.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain me the 3 types of security dilemma in the context of Russia-Ukraine war?
Yes, sir.
You want a hint?
Yes, sir. I'll...
Structural security dilemma.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because that structural theory is there.
Yes. So first is as you mentioned, structural security dilemma that both of them faces. Yeah. Second is informatical security dilemma, where there is informational asymmetry prevalent between both the states, and they don't
Perceptional,
know.
you mean?
Perceptional security dilemma.
Okay.
And thirdly is the absence of a world mechanism or a certain mechanism where they
that is structural only. Yeah. Okay. All right. So did Russia face a security dilemma? If Russia did, what security dilemma should it be? I mean, which of these 3 or any other it should be described as? So
the dilemma that Russia faced, it would be defined as a structural one, because it was facing an expansion of NATO to the Ukraine. Also, because Russia was getting contained in that region, and because of the Arctic vulnerability that it faces otherwise, it felt that its red line was being crossed. So it was more of a structural dilemma that Russian state faced, and that made it to choose for this kind of aggression, though there could have been other options available as well.
Okay. So if you refer to Mearsheimer,
yes, sir.
The structures of the adversary are known, but their intentions are not known.
Sir.
So, in case of Russia, the intentions of NATO are unknown.
Yes, sir.
So, that would, enrich your this thing. Okay. India lacks strategic culture is often a statement made by, various from various quarters. What is your view? How would you respond to this statement?
So, in my view, India is a civilizational state. It does not lack strategic culture because it's a land where strategic culture started taking root with the Kautilyan philosophy, with the text of Mahabharata, and the sermon of Gita having many strategic aspects. The Buddhist culture of taking all together and a soft diplomacy. And now, the way India argues for Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and argues for taking a pragmatic, realistic, dehyphenated, multi-alignment approach, I think we have the best of strategic culture that is required for the world today, sir.
Okay. So, this strategic culture is manifested in few policies of India.
Yes, sir.
Can you just quickly tell me which are those policies, where it manifests itself?
So, one is the policy of strategic autonomy. Second, arguing for reformed multilateral institutions. Thirdly, as the leader of the global south, and ensuring that the world is one earth, one family, one future.
Okay. But can I change your sequence by mentioning the first is its nuclear doctrine?
Yes, sir.
So it opted for that doctrine and for the nuclear option. It is part of, it clearly demonstrates its strategic culture.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good.
The French president visited China a few days ago.
Yes.
And to my mind, it's a landmark visit which has the potential to change the dynamics of Western Europe, or West, not only Western Europe. Why am I saying this?
So, because the French president visiting China has argued for a strategic autonomy which Europe should have. Strategic autonomy in the sense that it should not always be taking decisions on the behest of the US and should practice its own
Right,
morale.
good.
Yes.
So now tell me, has China succeeded in driving a wedge between the US and the West?
So, in my opinion, China has not succeeding in driving a wedge between the US and the West, but because of the disruption that is happening in the global scenario, the countries are taking the stand which their geopolitical realities suit them. China is surely an actor, but not a wedge creator, sir.
Not a wedge creator, that's what it's been trying to do all the time. To divide, keep the US and the West. It has already divided, not divided, but kind of made inroads into what was the backyard of America in Middle East,
Yes,
isn't
sir.
it? Okay, what are three most important internal security challenges in India?
Yes, sir. So, one is the internal security challenge in the Jammu and Kashmir region and the northeastern region. Second is the presence of the left-wing extremism. And thirdly are the new internal security challenges which are emerging in the cyber domain and the new technologies, sir.
What about the communal divide in the country? Do you see it as a security challenge?
Yes, sir.
It is. Now, you know, we talk of merit in selection of people everywhere, and it is important. So I will read to you what the Supreme Court said about selection of female judges. It said, while approving female judges, there is a difference between eligibility and suitability, right? There is a difference between eligibility and suitability. The first is fulfilled by the candidate. As for suitability, that is an area Supreme Court can't or should not go into. It will make judge selection unworkable. So my question is, isn't that against the whole concept of merit? They are fine with eligible judges, but they don't want to delve into suitability. So
Sir?
if judges have done A, B, C, D, they are all suitable, then you pick up from one side, and isn't that working against the concept of merit?
So, in my view, the Supreme Court divides on the basis of eligibility and suitability, that a certain number of candidates, the judges which have been selected to be appointed, they fulfill a certain criteria, and then on the basis of merit, they are not discriminating on different
He's
bases.
saying what? That's what Supreme Court had said, no? That suitability is an area Supreme Court cannot and should not go into.
So I think I would have to read on this. But in my opinion, merit should be upheld even in the appointments of the judges.
All right. How do you differentiate between values, morals, and ethics? Or just tell me the difference between values and morals.
So values are something that a person has. Values are something that we take from family, from culture, from religion, from different aspects, and are imbibed into a person. Morals is something that comes from within, and one that a person chooses to have a certain morality in his or her own life. And ethics is a larger social morality that is prevalent and is led by the society, and there are certain rules and procedures that are formulated by the society on the basis of ethics.
Okay, one incident in life when you were unethical.
So not to say unethical, but I did face a dilemma during my mains preparation when I really wanted to tread for the two straight cubs, small dogs who came, who were there in front of my house. But I could not because I was busy with my mains preparation and I had to go for that. And then they just disappeared and we could not take care of them. And they were really in need of care at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Kanika, PSIR is your optional paper, but you did not opt for IFS as number one preference. You could have been a very good ambassador and represent India.
So, with all due respect to the service, it was a childhood dream to be an IAS officer. And thus I kept IAS. Also, IAS would allow me to tread into diverse areas, broaden more, work on the ground, be more approachable, which I love to. I love to interact with people and feel that my moral acumen and my personal acumen is more, temperament is more aligned to that or inclined to that. Then I opted for IPS as my second preference because that also would connect me more to the ground and will allow me to function in India. But if I get a chance, then I have kept IFS as my third preference and like
But
to
don't you
work
think
as an
that
ambassador.
IAS and IFS are very challenging jobs as compared to IFS? You will have constant interference by the politicians,
Yes.
MPs, ministers, and you will be asked to do jobs which are unethical and not as per rules. This is not the situation in the case of Indian Foreign Service. Life will be very peaceful and it will be an honor to represent the country at world fora. I am not dissuading you from
So
but
I agree with your point that IFS provides a peaceful scenario. But I'd like to take the challenging part in the IAS because political representatives are the representatives of people on ground. And it's important for the bureaucrats to implement the things that they bring from the people on ground. Okay. Second, the Indian Administrative Service Officer abide to the Constitution and not to tread to the unethical aspects. I'll uphold the Constitution wherever I can and ensure justice, social, economic and political to the people through my acts.
Now, question from international relations.
Yes.
Do you see an early end to Russia-Ukraine war? Or do you see that the future is very, very bleak? It might lead to world war.
So at present, as the situation is being reflected, though the parties are looking forward for mediation because they are both caught up in a prisoner's dilemma, I don't see an early end to the situation and it will be trailed. But in my view, it won't lead to a world war because the countries like India, Indonesia, even China, all are coming, all are trying on the diplomatic front to bring both the countries together and find an early solution. Also, the world institutions want both of them to find an early solution at a pace.
India has been maintaining a neutral stand.
Yes.
They are not active in this, although ministers from other countries are visiting them. Ukraine minister is here. Don't you think India should take a more proactive stand, and play the role of a mediator between Russia and Ukraine?
The current stance that India has taken is a proactive one, according to me, because it's aligned with the view that India see that dialogue and diplomacy are the only medium where the conflict can end, and it has been pursuing it strongly at the UN forums when interacting with the countries. Even it is utilizing its G20 presidency to find a common ground between the West and the Russian state and to find an early solution. So it's a proactive stance according to me, and we should continue to ensure that there is a solution.
Should India wait for a response from the United Nations, which has almost become irrelevant, and or the two countries warring, which are at war, Russia and you, they request India to play the role of a mediator? Should India agree to that?
If the countries want, as sovereign nation, to play India as a mediator, I think, sir, India should be agreeing to that.
Okay, one last question.
Yes, sir.
You have mentioned that you represented the students at the internal complaints committee. Was it as per the guidelines, Vishakha guidelines?
Yes, sir. It is. The guidelines of the UGC are formulated in line with the POSH Act, which came after the Vishakha guidelines.
Who else constitute the internal complaints committee?
Yes, sir. Sorry, pardon me, sir.
Who headed the committee, and who else were members?
So, yes, sir. So the committee was headed by our assistant professor, Srimati Savita Gopal. The members, then two faculty members were also a part of it, two other faculty members. Then, sir, there was a external NGO member who is a women rights activist and a lawyer as well. Fourthly, as per the UGC mandate, we had a non-staff member as well, Shri Kartar Singh ji. And then in the end, sir, in relation to the student matters, we 3 student representatives were elected by...
So what happened to the final outcome of the case? Was the person who was at fault punished?
Yes, sir, we did not deal with any case during our tenure, but we ensured that the campus is made sexual harassment free. Also, as per section 6 of the UGC guidelines, I cannot explicitly...
Is this committee a statutory committee?
It is based on the statute of the POSH Act, sir.
And are the recommendations binding?
The recommendations are advisory in nature, and it is on the CU to take them further.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Kanika.
Yes.
Kanika, how can we solve the problem of black money in our economy?
Ma'am, the problem of black money can be solved firstly by having strong statutory provisions. Secondly, by ensuring that the business companies so firstly, the strong statutory provision ensure that they are not indulging into those activities, and there is a zero tolerance to any black money being accumulated. Secondly, there is much more facilitation or collaboration between the businesses and the government so that they don't find themselves to be aloft from the government, which usually lead to creating that information gap and the companies indulging into black money, which can be otherwise dealt.
No, it is mostly intentional. It is not that there is lack of information, that is why somebody is, evading taxes or anything.
It is intentional also, ma'am, but then there are certain things. The companies are also not aware so how much tax will be there, because tax is usually on profit, but the companies think that it's not the profit that is being taxed, but rather the complete income or the turnover that is to be taxed. So if better
tell me, what is informalization of economy?
Ma'am, the informalization refer to the small unregulated setups coming up, which don't provide social security to the workers. So the informal setups.
Why is it increasing in India?
The informalization increased with 1990s as we saw liberalization. Secondly, ma'am, now we are improving out of informalization as per my understanding, because with GST, many companies have registered. Second, with the labor codes amendment that has been made recently, the code of social security has been extended to a lot of workers. Now we are improving, ma'am, to ensure that the companies are more aware, are increasing their scale of operation and are getting formalized. Even the MSME are getting formalized with registration to the Udyam portal, ma'am.
Kanika, what is your opinion on same-sex marriages? Should we legalize them in India?
Ma'am, in my opinion, in line with the 32 countries which have done so, and in line with the inclusive and equitable society that India envisions for it, India should be legalizing same-sex marriages. But as the centre's affidavit has pointed out, there are statutory, cultural, social concerns and when we are legalizing the same-sex marriages, and that should be taken in account when we are taking such a movement.
You see, there's this term LGBTQ+.
Yes, ma'am.
Why is it plus?
Yes, ma'am. It is plus because lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, and queer. And then we don't, the person who identify themselves to LGBTQ and even the society at large don't want to constrain the gender identity. And it's upon people who would like to associate themselves with any gender that they would like to. So it's plus and opens a plethora where don't restrain the gender identity of a person.
Kanika, what do you regret the most in your life?
Ma'am, right now I regret the most is being unemployed till now and not being able to be a responsible kid because I'm an only child and I think I should have done a lot more for my parents. And a main source of regret is that I always wanted to crack UPSC in my first attempt, which I couldn't do. But now I think I have come with more strength to crack it.
Is there a societal pressure to crack it in first attempt? Students from LSR cracking in first attempt, getting first rank. Is there that kind of pressure?
Not a societal pressure, no. It was
a personal pressure that you've built on yourself?
Not even a personal pressure, a personal dedication which I had built to myself and had determined myself.
Okay, Kanika, my last question to you would be, let's say you reach where you want to reach, okay? And you're giving the speech. You're supposed to address 1,000 people, but you forget your speech. What will you do in that situation?
In that situation, ma'am, I'll formulate the speech extempo, if possible, but deliver it for a shorter period of.
Let's say it had a lot of details and about government schemes and data, and you've forgotten your speech. Now, what will you do?
If possible, I'll allow myself because there are 1,000 people who are there to listen to my speech. I cannot waste their time. If there are other members on the panel or if there are other people who can address the gathering for a time being and I can first quickly brush myself up on the data, I'll do that so that when I'm delivering my speech, I'm not wasting people's time and taking that into account.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kanika, your mock is over.
Thank you, sir.
Just wait outside for a few moments. We'll call you for giving the feedback.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. May I come in, sir?
Have a seat, Kanika. Kanika, when is your interview scheduled now?
It is on 19th of April, sir.
Oh, only about a week.
Yes, sir.
And how many marks did you get last time?
160, sir.
150?
160.
160. And how many marks have you done so far this year?
I've given around 10 marks, sir.
10 marks.
Yes.
Okay. Any more to go also?
One-to-one interaction, sir.
So today's mock, what are the feelings that come to you? How do you think you fared at today's mock?
I should try thinking more before answering and structure my answer a little bit more so as to ensure that I do my best. Also, with ma'am, I fumbled with
black money.
With black money and informalization of economy. I should not have done so.
So, Kanika, one thing which I would like to mention first of all is that try to see that the first question and the last question, they are the best answered.
Yes.
because the first question will set the trend,
Yes.
and the last question you will be giving marks after that.
Yes. Sir.
Try to answer in the best possible manner.
Yes.
Okay.
Sir.
Your performance in today's mock has been outstanding. Superb.
Thank you, sir.
The answers were very, very rational, very objective, coming straight away after a thinking process. There was a lot of clarity in your mind, no confusion whatsoever. You were able to spontaneously think about the answer and come out, because the questions were varied questions from different one end of the spectrum to another end of the spectrum, and you were able to field them with equal deft handling and very well.
Thank you, sir.
Your mental alertness, your presence of mind, it was very good. Your delivery was very smooth. Articulation is excellent. Communication very good. You are able to have an eye contact, scanning, the modulation, and you were coming out in a very calm and composed manner, and yet very confident and full of clarity.
Thank you, sir.
So all these things go in your favor. I don't have to say or point out anything which goes against you. Everything is in your favor. Your answers were very rational and very ethical also. So knowledge, skills and attitude on all the three fronts, you come out exceedingly well.
Thank you, sir.
Now coming to some of the questions I would like to take up. One was regarding Chandigarh.
Yes, sir.
Now Chandigarh, the option which you went in was that we should have a capitals, separate capitals. But then the immediate question would be, do we have the time and the wherewithal, the resources to ask both states to come up with new capital? Constructing a new capital is a very difficult task. Even Chandigarh took almost 50 years to develop. Even now it is developing.
Yes, sir.
So probably the third option would be more suitable, that Punjab and Haryana, everything is going on well, status quo, they should continue to have their capital there. But in order to retain the character of Chandigarh, we should continue to be controlled by the Ministry of Home Affairs.
Sure, sir.
Okay. But as a second fallback option, yes, both the states can be given funds. Coming to the question regarding values, morals and ethics, which was
Yes, sir.
asked. Now, let me tell you exactly. Values are your inner beliefs and convictions and principles that you hold dearly to.
Yes, sir.
And when these values are in action in the world, in human conduct, dealing with other human beings, then they become ethics.
Yes.
Morals are set by the society.
Yes, sir.
Morals are set by the society. Ethics is called as moral philosophy. So ethics is equal to morals plus philosophy. Philosophy is reasoning. When the society fix certain norms, you don't adopt them as such. You apply reasoning to it.
Yes.
Then it becomes ethics.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Thank you, sir.
have that principle ready. Right. Then coming to issues relating to Indian Foreign Service. Why did you not? So your answer was quite well, but you can definitely answer it in the manner that IAS has got something which probably other services do not have, and that is makes it the strengths of IAS.
Yes.
And wider diversity of subjects, and you can be a part of the public policy process.
Yes.
At every stage of the 6 stages you will be taking part, which may not be in the case of other services, though at the same time you must hasten to add that all services are
Yes.
equally challenging. And then you say that lot of creativity you can do, and you can touch the lives of the citizens of this country, through public governance. So that makes it unique service. That is why you want to be in the IAS.
Yes.
Now coming to some other things which I would like to just mention, run it past you, that your answers, as I said, were extremely good, but prepare number 1 on Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Yes, sir.
That is an important area, particularly in the context of deglobalization.
Yes.
Number 2, do prepare in respect of the contentious issues like hunger index, happiness index, corruption index, why we are figuring so low. And the answer to that would be follow the official line. Whatever government of India's line is, try to support that. Don't say that these indices we are doing very badly, because you never know in the panelists who may take in what fashion. So you say that yes, maybe the sample size might not be sufficient. And I think what the government of India has come out with this version, which I agree. Then the contentious issues like LGBTQ and also Article 370, same-sex marriage, live-in relationships, love jihad controversy, hijab controversy, citizenship register, Statue of Unity. These are all contentious issues, prostitution and also reservation policy. These are issues in which attempts are always made, to make you waver and upstage you. So there you have to come out with balanced answer. You have to give both the sides of the coin, and then if they ask for your opinion, please do not go against the official line. And if there is a court order, like in many cases there is a court order, so you say that the Supreme Court has finally laid it to this issue to rest. But there, the question which was asked about same-sex marriage, where the government of India has a different opinion than the Supreme Court's initial thoughts in the matter, you came out rightly, and you should say that it's a highly delicate issue, having a lot of pros and cons. Many ripple effects are also there, legal issues and social issues. So it will be best handled if an empowered group, or at least a group of people from different disciplines, subject matter specialists, is constituted to look into all the aspects, so that a final view emerges which is a balanced one. You will not criticize the government of India nor the judges in that respect. Just to sum up, Kanika, your knowledge about Haryana was very good. You have to just talk about Haryana, understand the SWOT analysis of Haryana, think about the Khap Panchayat and the Babas which are ruling nowadays, getting into the minds of the people, why it is happening, the controversy regarding Jat agitation which took place, and Rampal agitation, and then issues concerning since IR, political science and IR are your optional, so naturally many questions on IR. So role of United Nations, UNSC, permanent seat, these are all obvious things which you will know, and do concentrate on the climate change and the global issues which we are facing. The question about economic condition, the situation, that you should understand, that you read about it. And GS2, GS3, GS4 paper, just brush them up, and you will be able to get it. A question was asked about internal security challenges also. That is also an important issue. And I would suggest read through the public policies from 1947. There is a very useful book, 70 Policies That Shaped India. Go through that book and you will get a fairly good idea about, and this government, the policies for children, so the senior citizens and women, you prepare. But also prepare, because IPS is your second option, do prepare certain questions on IPS, how investigation can be improved, why the VVIP culture, you see, what can we do about it, and things connected with the public and the police relationship in India, why police is looked down as an enemy rather than a friend. So these are the things. So overall, perfect, nothing to comment except good things about you. Your performance was very good. If you have any questions.
Anything to improve other than brushing upon parts on my personality?
Absolutely fine. You are the best the way you are. And I would definitely like you getting at least 190 to 200 marks, going by the performance that you have given here.
Thank you, sir.
Anything you would like to ask?
What other panelist members, like
Sure.
It's a collective feedback.
from the
combined
last
feedback.
time, have I improved?
You've tremendously improved from last time, and you're doing brilliant. And don't let self-doubt hamper your performance anymore.
Yeah.
Actually, feedback is given after discussion with all the panelist
it's a compiled
members.
feedback that we give.
So,
So instead of we have improved, about when you refer to Haryana, you say Haryana has improved.
yes, sir, I think I have to.
We have come a long way, you said. When
Change.
you're referring to the state, instead of it is better to refer to the state rather than referring to we.
Yes, sir.
Yeah?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All the best.
Unacademy. Let's track it.